Yes, superb stuff in this. And so original. Have you come across it? Dr Edgerton, who died in 1990, aged 86. I corresponded with him about 40 years ago, very briefly, one letter back and forward. Stopping time, he was the first to do high-speed camera work and captured a fraction of a second when something interesting was happening, such as a bullet going through an apple. And in his book, which is absolutely full of some of his best artistic works, there's just two I'd love to show you because they're particular favourites of mine. I do love balloons, and I do love this famous milk drop thing, which is the first time it has been seen since mankind began, was when high-speed cameras picked up what happens when a drop of milk spatters when it hits a hard surface, and that's what happens to it. Extraordinary. Sometimes, I'll do a colour picture here, you find it comes up and does a blob like that when it's falling not on a flat surface but into a liquor as well. It does that. So, but this is the one that really I love. And he spent many years of his life trying to get the perfect coronet, but life is so, that was the nearest they got to it, I think. But there's so much chaos in life, and in real life as it happens, it was almost impossible to get a perfect one looking like a coronet. But that was a marvellous one. And the other one I particularly like is this one here, which is an amazing picture. This is 3 balloons in a row being shot by a bullet. What's extraordinary is there's in tatters, that's half in tatters, that's just started to burst, and there's the offending object. That is a small bullet. Actually, it's gone through all 3 balloons, a fraction of a second, a millisecond beforehand it was going through that one and making it look like this, and then it went to this one, and there it is leaving behind a trail of chaos, which is not apparent when it's first gone through the balloon. You don't notice anything until a fraction of a second later, all caught by high-speed camera and impossible to see otherwise. So that's been a tremendous thing for opening up my mind to things that happen in a fraction of a second. And Dr Edgerton did that in the most wonderful way for years and years and years of his life. So tremendous thing to keep looking back on, I think. Another thing I think a friend of mine pointed this out to me, is you can get quite serious about preparing for very big banquets, very important banquets, with stuff they call Swedish napkins, which would be heavily starched, and they allow you to do the most wonderful shapes like this when you're preparing to do a party, and it shows how to actually make them. Now, occasionally you see little versions of this, even in small cafes, but very simple versions. But this is the sort of advanced work for degree of paper, not of a floss napkin folding, and it makes some wonderful effects for the guests when they first arrive at the table and see things like this on the table. I think my best one I'd see would be one where each person's actual napkin was folded in a different way. They don't do that technically usually, it's the same for every person, but they could do that, I think. And then very similar to that is one here which is towels. This is something that, again, I've seen it practiced a little bit in many smart hotels, or sometimes very well-run hotels. When you go up to your bedroom, which you've now going to spend the night in, there's the sheets laid out and the bed's been made, and a towel sitting there. And sometimes they play with the towel and do this, what they call origami folds, showing you how to do origami, make lovely shapes from towels. They don't have to be too heavily starched because they've got to bend and then keep their shape, and they just do it. So there's a whole world of folding origami with towels for bedrooms, hotels. The next one is a very bizarre book. I think I got this because I found an umbrella which was meant for a dog, would you believe? I'll show the book in here. This is if you get someone who absolutely adores their pet. Yes, that's what I've got in my collection. I've got a doggy brolly. You look at it, you can't think it's going to work for a human being, but the idea is you have your own brolly above your head, and that's to keep your pet's head dry. Poor little dog, Pooch, you've got to be looked after. But there's things here for, oh goodness me, couches and cradles and everything there. This is really how to spoil your dog to the last moment. Look at this, a little wonderful hammock for a dog. and it's Italian, so marvellous stuff. Now there's one here which has got two things about it nice. One is the artist, an American artist, and a lady artist who does miniatures, and some of them are about the size of a postage stamp. They're that small, but incredibly detailed. But the other thing is she loves surrealism. So there's two pictures here I want to show you are particularly good. I'll just skim through one or two of the pages of her work. That's one of the ones I like. Look at this. It's as if you've got a large, gigantic size safety pin being stuck to the cloud as if it's a bit of cloth or a baby's nappy or something like that up in the clouds, but it's going through it. Extraordinary idea. Lovely, but lovely, lovely, lovely. And another one there where you have a swing hanging down from the clouds, or so she imagines. Perhaps if you're a fairy or something and you can fly anyway. And things like magnets. Would you believe that water can be magnetised? No, of course it can't be, but it's her imagination which is at work. So there's some absolutely charming pictures to look at in here, and marvel at her skill at making ones usually 4 to 6 inches, most of them are, but a few are the size of a postage stamp, and she does a wonderful job. It's very well produced, that book. It's one I keep coming back to. And the last one is a mammoth thing for one of my Russian friends. It's full of optical illusions of all sorts and sizes, plus a lot of other things. That's what I like, is the other things that they have in these books, because this is a big one with lots and lots of Russian stuff, all art from that enormous country. But I found at the back of the book here something which I'd never seen before, and I was amazed at it. It was a bit of music, and I'm vaguely musical, but I can't read music that well. I thought, what's going on here? I can't read any of the text, so I had to just work it out for myself. And my thought was, well, hang on a sec, this is a waltz time, 3/4 time. All the waltzes I've ever come across, like, cha-cha, cha-cha, da-da-da-da, Blue Danube or something like that, they all start with the cha-cha. This one is finishing with, let's put it round the right way, actually. I've got the right piece, that's right. This one's finishing with cha-cha, cha-cha, cha. Oh, it's going backwards. That's what it is. You've got to read it that way, like that, not the normal way. And when you do that, I could just about work out it's going cha-cha, cha-cha, da-da-da-da, da-dum, da-da-da-da-da, da-dum, Tchaikovsky, Nutcracker Suite, Waltz of the Flowers. Now, when I show this to accompanist at the choir I sing with, Paul Ayres is very, very musical. He looked at it, he knew nothing about what was going on, he just played that through. It sounded pretty dreadful, I have to say. And at the end he said, what's going on here? I said, look, it's backwards. And immediately he recognised Waltz of the Flowers. He said, you know, when I was playing this piece the wrong way, inadvertently, I didn't know what was going on, it somehow struck a chord with me. My mind was saying, yes, that's something I regularly recognise. Well, I find that wonderful. He can recognise music going backwards or forwards, just about. So I was amazed at that. It's really opened up my mind to other possibilities. So that's been a wonderful book for references, but mostly for marvellous optical illusions. But as a fight of discovery, play the music backwards. I'll play that trick on many people. I said, there we are, what is it? It's backwards, backwards.